Hey folks. Hey, I'm actually live. It's taken me a few minutes. I was wondering if it was going to do that. And hello. So we need to... Okay. All right. Welcome to Restore Belief. I have a different background, at least a little bit of a different background. Welcome to Wednesday. It's been an interesting day to say the least. Anyway, lots of tech issues. Ain't that fun? Anyway, today talking about spirits. Sorry, I'm putting my glasses over here, and you may be hearing the sound on the table. And my pen disappeared. Okay, that's gonna be fun because I'm gonna kind of need a pen. There we are. Okay. Anyhow, so today is talking about spirits and oh gosh, just a bunch of different interesting little things. Hello to hey Christopher. I probably should share this out. So ouch, squeak, so others know I'm actually live. I actually made it. Hello to whoever else came in. So as usual, got a little bit of business because I'm used to being able to do all of that beforehand, but hello, not happening. Anyway, so spirits. So let's see, live right now. Okay, there we go. So dealing with spirits from early childhood, there are folks that experience this. There are others. Things are so different than, hey, Robert, may the fourth be with you. Yeah, today's the third here, but it's the fourth there. So some folks don't experience spirits as a child. I definitely did. I'm going to do a short story about something that got brought up this week, actually earlier this week, that I'd completely forgotten about. I have talked about it. This is regarding spirits during my childhood, and a very well-known downtown Seattle building. I have talked about it, but it's been about 4 years. I talked about it publicly, and I'm trying to remember where. Might have been Wampum. But anyway, so things are so different between the 60s, 70s, and hello, anything beyond 2010, I mean, dramatically different. So people deal differently now. Parents deal differently with their children who have very differently in comparison to how I was raised and how others were raised. But my point is, with all of this, with the story, is that take into consideration what your kids are telling you. I already know I'm going to be having biological grandchildren. I don't know how that's going to actually happen because the variety of factors that I'm not going to state publicly. It's not my place to state publicly. But I do know that I'm going to have biological grandchildren and children that grandchildren that will be considered grandchildren to me. So, and a number of them have already come to me and told me that. And actually, one of them's already been born. But that's kind of beside the point. So when you're listening to your kids talk, whether you think it's just an imaginary friend, you got to kind of be careful with that, because hello, kids do have an imagination, but at the same time, it could be a spirit that they're talking to, or it could be something else that they're talking to. So you got to be a little on the careful side regarding uh, little ones under the age of 5, specifically under the age of 4, who are talking about different things or things that they see that you as an adult are not seeing. An example of that goes into my childhood. My mom and dad were in the process of divorcing. Uh, so obviously, here we're going into the story. So mom and dad were in the process of divorcing. Mom had us hidden because my dad, love you, but I am going to talk about this. Then he just said, go right ahead. That's good. I got your permission. But dad wasn't exactly okay then. I mean, he is now, and he's my main spirit guide, and families, I always say family would throw a shit fit if they really grab the comprehension of that. But he and I worked through a lot of our stuff, a lot of our issues. He and I started working through them uh, before he passed, and then really started working through them after he passed. So mom had her and I hidden in a friend's family's apartment. They very wealthy family in Seattle, very well known family in Seattle, and they allowed mom to put her and I in hiding. And during that time, she wasn't able to do well, for safety's sake too, but financial reasons, she wasn't able to put me into daycare during the time that she went to see her attorney in downtown Seattle. And her attorney was in the Smith Tower. And the Smith Tower is a very famous building in downtown Seattle. It's towards the end of the south end of Seattle, downtown. And it's got this, it literally looks like a tower. It's got a like a spike coming straight up to a point, like a triangle. Couldn't think of what the hell it was called. And there were times that when I went with her, she would hold me in her arms when we'd walk into the building and then walk up to the elevator. And then there were times where she'd walk in carrying me and put me down and let me press the elevator button because, hello, that's a kid's thing. And she'd hold my hand, and in the process of, I would see people dressed of that day and age, just ordinary men and women dressed in business suits or dresses of the time of the era. This was 69 to 1970 and into 71. And when we'd get on the elevator, there was, not always, but there was a woman dressed in what I now know as the early 1900s style of attire, dress, clothing. And she, I mean, you couldn't see through her. She looked as solid as the guy who was standing next to my mom. Sorry, I got hair on my nose. It's driving me nuts. And she would look down and smile at me. She was a young woman, probably in her early 20s, maybe. Then there were times where there was a woman and the first woman was tall and thin. The second woman that I saw was a little bit shorter than the first. They were both definitely taller than my mom, and some of the men probably the living men were probably about 5'9", so this woman was maybe 5'10". She was a little bit taller than some of them. Big hat, uh, beautiful. Oh my God, gorgeous dress. The older woman, the one that I'm classifying as older woman, she could have been in her 40s, late 30s, early 40s. And the reason I call her older is because of how she dressed, her manner, her appearance, behaviorisms, that kind of thing. Different style of hat, very much from the early 1900s. And honestly, I haven't bothered to look up currently what year that building, the Smith Tower, was constructed and finished. So I don't honestly know, but I keep wanting to say but it's not 1800s. It's like early 1900s. But period dressing, period type of era type of attire, clothing. And I always thought she was real. And both of these women and the man too. Well, there was one man that I think of more often than there were two men. So 2 men, 2 women. All of them were by themselves. Anytime I walked through or was walked through with mom, and I knew enough to know not to say anything to them. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew not to say anything to them. And the younger one, the taller one, I would look up to her and smile, and she would, oh my God, she was beautiful. She had the most beautiful, loving, caring smile. And there were a couple of times where she'd do this little finger gloves, white gloves. And sometimes I'd seen her in lace gloves. Hello to whoever came in. Appreciate you coming in. Talking about spirits when you're 2 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old, in the Smith Tower, downtown Seattle. Anyway, there were times where the younger woman was wearing either white gloves or white lace, intricate lace kind of gloves, very fancy, very kind of posh, well-to-do. I don't know what else to call it as. The gentlemen, I always remember them being in black suits, not tuxes, but they reminded me of tuxes, but blacks, browns, mostly blacks, black suits. Couple of them. One of them would come in periodically with different hats. I want to call it a bowler hat, but that's not quite right. Anyway, so there was one specific incident where the older woman, I was about to reach up to her, and my mom, and she was, the interesting thing is, okay, so you got to remember back then, the elevator, back in the 60s and 70s, they were using the old-fashioned elevator where you had an elevator doorman type of person who would have you go up and down, the elevator operator. And so a kid couldn't press the buttons. And they had sliding doors that from about an adult's perspective, like waist high, would be bars, and you would see the walls going as you're going up. The walls would go down, um, and then but the lower half of the doors were metal, brass, different sections of brass. If I don't even know if they still use those specific elevators anymore. I know they did up until like the 80s, but I don't know. I don't know about now. I haven't been in that building in so many years. Um, but the older woman, she'd give me a smile, and I remember. So I'm here, mom's here, and I'm peering around mom, and there's the women always stood in back, almost up against the wall, but not against the wall of the elevator. The guys stood in front of us, which was weird to me. Uh, Either in front or off in front to my mom's right. Anyway, so this one time, this older woman, um, I still, even to this day, because of my childhood brain, considered it costume, that they were in period costume. But it's not, it's how they dressed from that time period. And here they are. So here's this woman, and I'm looking behind my mom. Mom doesn't have my hand. And I go to reach up behind her, and mom reaches down to grab my hand. Um, but actually, what I was doing, I was reaching up to do this kind of method on grab the dress and go tweak tweak, go hot, type of thing. And mom was like, nope, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not reaching up, and grabbed my hand really quickly. And the woman, she was just like, and she'd smile, and then that was it. And she would get off. And that's what I didn't understand, because as a kid, she didn't go through us. It was like she somehow went around us. And I didn't understand that. That made no, on one hand, it made sense, but on another hand, it didn't. Um, anyway, so you have things like that as a child, where you're seeing different spirits, or you're touching different buildings. Like if I touch the elevator, the metal, the brass on the metal part of the elevator, I would have a lot more people I'd see, different people walking, and it would make me dizzy. I remember that it would really make me dizzy, lightheaded, dizzy, and um, mom always attributed that to uh, oh, you've got ear issues, or you've got an ear infection, or, and I now understand that, yes, that can be part of it as you're going up in an elevator. But at the same time, the lightheadedness didn't start until I touched one of those metal pieces on the elevator. Kind of interesting. Um, and then, yes, I would have lightheadedness or dizziness as the elevator would go up. So to me, it was two separate things. Anyway, so when you deal with kids and you've got kids who have abilities, think about things from their perspective. Sorry, I've got another hair. There we go. Just think about things from their perspective, and how things appear, how they hear things, what they see, that kind of stuff. What else was I going to talk? There was another subject I was going to talk about was the ETs. I want to give an example of something. So last night I was taken. And I knew that they were in my home. And I knew that they followed me from the living room to my bedroom. And it was clicking. There was clicking in my room. And I spun around and I went, I heard that. I literally went, I heard that. I know you're here. And I said, hey, Amy, I said, if you're going to take me and do whatever it is you're going to do, then you need to fix my lungs and whatever this metal sensation is that I've got going on. Because I've had the last couple of days, I've had a real difficult time with my health. And really have not been okay by any stretch. And I said, obviously, wait till I go to the bathroom and then get to bed and get certain things set up. They did, and I heard clicking again. And I set everything up for me to go to bed and to fully relax. Wake up this morning and I have no more burning in my lungs, no more metal, no more anything. I mean, it's gone. And I knew that last week that they were here twice. I know that I was injected with something. Do I have a problem with this? Yes and no. No, because they took the burning away. They took the issue that I was starting to have in my lungs away. And I don't have any more certain sound anymore in my lungs, which I appreciate. I have a whole lot of other things to say on it, but I think that's where I'm going to keep it for right now. And I can take a deep breath without it. Anyway, it's just there's a whole lot of different things that yeah. Anyhow, so there are things that can be done if you are an abductee, and there are trades you can make with them, so to speak. You're taking me and you're doing this. Well, if you're going to do this, then please take care of this situation. I'm not begging, but if you want a body that is going to be doing this for you, then you need to do that for me. So I appreciate that. I still can't quite tell if I know what I saw, I know what I was shown, but yet I don't have certain sensations and feelings of certain things. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Anyhow, yeah, Amy said I can almost guarantee they would not have helped if it was not in their best interest. Oh, believe me, I freaking know that. Oh yeah. I know that really freaking well. It's got to be conducive to them. And yeah. Anyhow, and I've got a new description of a new ET that I've never witnessed that I'm not ready to talk about the appearance of this being yet. But at least definitely not publicly. And I don't know if I'm ready to privately. We'll see. But I find it fascinating what I was shown, how different things were shown to me, and how they released me with my higher consciousness, body and higher consciousness. I found that fascinating. So, um, uh, there were a bunch of other things that I really wanted to talk about, and of course, I'm not. They're not popping back up in my head, unfortunately, at this second. Amy says service to self species, perhaps. Service to self species, perhaps. What do you mean by that, hon? Um, anyhow, uh, a lot of interesting things have gone on. I have had spirits here. Things have been kind of muted. I mean, I can still hear them, but it's like they're at a distance. And part of that is because I had consequences, and I get that. Had consequences for not protecting myself, but consequences for finding out a piece of information and actually doing something about it. And yeah, it wasn't appreciated. Well, it wasn't. Anyhow, you got to be careful with what you do when it comes to the other side. So, um, it's a classic definition. Amy says it's a classic definition among metaphysics and the New Age. It basically means they will not lift, I think is what you meant, not lift a finger to help to benefit anyone but themselves. Oh, yeah, believe me, I do know that. Military's that way when they abduct. The ETs that are working with the military, that I know too. They're very specific and stuff. Self-servient, self self-servient. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that's right along there. Let's see if I can find what I was going to talk about. There were a number of factors I was going to have conversations over, and apparently, let's see, get rid of that. That goes away. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, and on tonight's the S4 bunker, there. Oh, maybe there was something else I was going to talk about. Anyway, on tonight's the S4 bunker is going to be talking about vampires in all aspects. So that'd be an interesting. One of the other things, listen to your kids. If you're like going to like the Oregon coast, and they've had a lot of different over the years, they've had a lot of different ships that have run aground, like old ships that have run aground. Be aware when your kids are running around those. Obviously, watch out for rust and all of that, and make sure your hands are okay, and that in your feet, and lots of spirits can be around some of those wreckages. Found that out as a kid when I was at 6, 7, no, 5 or 6 years old. So spirits again, as a young kid, as a young child, be very conscious of what your kids are telling you. Don't just chalk it up to it's just a story. They see things, you know. Uh, just be aware. There are folks that I know where their kids have explained past lifetimes. There's folks that I know where their kids have um, made comments about different things regarding spirits being in the house, and the adults are not aware of it, but the kids are. And usually around the ages between 7 and 10 years old, really around the age of 8, um, kids start becoming much more aware of not talking about it. So, and a lot more kids that are being born now, a lot more infants that are being born, they're coming into this life with a lot more memories of past lifetimes. They're coming into this timeline where being seen, showing spirits, or showing to them, excuse me, they're seeing the spirits, they're mentioning little things. They're actually able to talk about it. That's a really, really big deal. Make note of it. Record those kind of things. Seriously. Now that you've got cell phones that can record that stuff. Make note of it. Make a history of it for your child for when they're an adult. Put all that information together so that that can, I wish I had that for my son. Anyhow, it's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. There's not a whole lot right now. Regarding ETs, if you are being abducted, look into folks like Samantha Mowat. Look into folks like Geraldine Orozco. Our Keith Andrews. There are a number of others. And there are others that you got to watch out for. Hello to whoever came in. There are a number of folks you do have to watch out for in the community because they are not credible. They're not quality. You got to really watch out. They'll blow a lot of smoke up the old wazoo, so be very careful. But those are the ones that I know that have quality information. There are others, but I'm not promoting them right now. There are a number of really good quality psychics out there that can give you other information. I'm all for promoting other folks because it's necessary in our community to support each other. And I strongly believe in doing that. What else? Okay, gonna take a look here on the old phone because I want to be sure that we get into. Oh yes. There was something about a lunar eclipse that is ending. A lunar cycle that's ending is what I'm trying to say. And so between now and the 5th of the month, it's been going on for a while. So keep an eye open for, like a lot of folks are going through some real difficulties. And part of it is because of different aspects of astrology that are going on. A lot of lunar things. So Anyway, check into some of that. Be aware. It's kind of an important thing. There's a number of folks who are talking about things that are coming to pass or that are about to come to pass. Just be on the watch out. The lookout. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not quite with it today. Sorry, guys. Be on the lookout for different things. Regarding that subject, another subject, just a sideline, has nothing to do with paranormal whatsoever. Yesterday, somebody had talked to me about 2 different accidents that they had witnessed within a 50-minute time period. Really was more like in a 40-minute, 30 to 40-minute time period. Folks, don't be in such a hurry to get where you need to go. It's going to cost you safety and security of not only you, but other people around you. One of these vehicles ended up on top of the other. That takes some serious skill. Be careful. Be really freaking careful in how you're driving. I was absolutely appalled by what I was told, actually. Anyhow, so a side note, also kind of going back to the lunar stuff, everybody's uptight and in a bind and trying to get places quickly, and they're not paying attention. So please pay attention, slow down. Okay, I'm still looking, obviously not finding. Oh, health wise. Okay, not a doctor. And I always say, always do your own research. And I mean that. Hardcore. Do your own research. Talk to medical personnel, doctors, naturopaths, folks in those communities, in the health communities. Look into mushrooms. And I don't mean psychedelics. I mean, oh God, I can't think of all the names. The different blends of mushrooms that there are for health. Just an FYI. Sorry, I'm not finding what I'm looking for. It's rather frustrating. And the other one regarding health, look into vitamin D. I mean, really look into it. How much of a difference that can make on a human body. Oh, that's a good idea. Right on, Amy. Sorry, folks. This is driving me nuts. I really thought I'd be able to access this easily. Okay, so another thing that I was going to talk about was spirits, and when they come to a psychic medium, they're on the other side and they're earthbound. There was a physician who had posted one of his fears regarding patients, and this is public, but I'm not saying his name. And he talks about how horrifying it is regarding somebody being on a surgery table and they've been given a paralytic and an anesthetic, and one is supposed to like stop movement in the person, and the other one is to shut the brain down. And one of the points that I made regarding this, I was like, yes, that is horrifying. But also, um, think of psychic mediums who have crime victim spirits, earthbound spirits who come to talk to them and give them only their first name, but yet want somebody to actually hear and to see everything that they experienced before they died. It's very frustrating because for somebody like me, it's kind of like a drive-by, so to speak, in the sense that you're given this information, but you're not given a location, a date, a uh, identifying a state where the situation took place. So here you have all this information, this fine detailed information, but and the spirit was like, no, I just wanted somebody to know. And you're like, but this needs to go to the police. And they're like, I just wanted somebody to know, somebody to hear what happened to me, somebody to remember me. And I'm like, but your loved ones remember you, but they don't need to remember how I died. And I went, well, that's a good point. However, they weren't able and or refused to provide information that I could take to the authorities to be able to locate the bones or locate the different things, or locate the perpetrator. And I'm going to describe something to you. And if this is not something you want to hear, you might want to come back in about 2 minutes. No joke, because this gets a little on the graphic side. So I'm going to read something. Okay, where the spirit comes to you only gives you their first name, then shows you damn near every detail of how they died, where a paralytic was given to them and some form of mild anesthetic were used on the person, while they were able to hear everything that was going on around them. And only for whatever reason able to have their eyes open, but somehow, and this doesn't make sense to me, they were able to slightly move their eyeballs so that they could see, but yet part of it was in the peripherals. I was able to hear everything that they were thinking. They were showing me. This is how they were showing me. They were putting it in my head. It's called a download. Every aspect of experiencing their terror, hearing every sound in the room, including what was being done to them, which was vicious, vile, and horrific. Seeing and feeling them, first in their disassociative ways and then them in astral form, obviously still connected to their body, where they could then see the true horrific scene of what was being done to their physical body. They were no longer able to hear it only. It was a complete surround sound visual of everything that was being done to them. I've had crime victims do this. Numerous different crime victims do this. And a lot of times when they do this, It is just exactly what this gentleman told me. I just wanted somebody to know. I just wanted somebody to know what had happened. And I'm like, wow. Um, so obviously in astral, they're still very much connected to their body, still alive. Um, horrific doesn't come close to any word that was being done to them. Um, usually it takes me 2 to 3 weeks for me to not just process everything, but to go through the emotions of, oh my God, what that person went through before they died. And the emotional aspect of it. And it's just like, whoa, really, really freaking intense. Which is one of the reasons why I do not watch horror movies, true horror movies. Oh my God, no. Thank you. I get enough of that crap. No, 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 no. There are just certain things I don't need to see on a big screen. You know what I'm saying? It's just yikes. Um, unfortunately, this earthbound spirit will not come back to talk to me to give me more information because they're like, I'm done. I've tried everybody else. I've gone to different people. Um, and it's the things that I get told. So it gets very frustrating on my part. I do have boundaries that I deal with spirits, especially earthbound spirits. Um, and interestingly enough, Capone isn't an earthbound spirit. I was just going to comment on Capone because he comes back periodically, and that's a whole nother subject. Anyway, but I was thinking things that are horrific. There are things that he's described and shown that are horrific. So, um, just know that there are individuals, spirits who, if they come to you and you are a medium, you know, you may not be able to do anything but just hear them. It's almost like their version of a counseling session. And we're not counselors by any stretch of the imagination. However, um, it makes a difference for them in one way or another. It makes a difference. Now, it affects us, yes, and we know about it. Will I write about this specific story? Oh, hell yeah. Will it go into a book? Oh, hell yeah. Um, I have explicit notes on what I was shown and told and what I heard. Ugh. And there are some sounds that I can't. Um, which is why if I'm with a group of people or just a couple of people and we're watching a movie and there are certain sounds that come on, I'm like, I got to get up and walk out for good reason because it will sound like something a spirit has shown me. And that is not pleasant by any stretch of the freaking imagination. It gets very um, nasty, very disgusting. And it calls up what a certain spirit has gone through. Um, also, why I don't watch dystopian science fiction. We are already living in it. Why not a movie about keeping a paradise? Yeah, there are a lot of movies, a lot of made for TV movies that are doing exactly that. um, different versions of quote unquote paradise. I have another message for the asshats. On between April 30th and May 5th, or excuse me, May 1st, you had me laughing because of a situation. You continued to use me as a training ground. And I came out and said, watch out for the snapping turtle. How do you think I knew that info? Because one of you has an extreme fear of snapping turtles. Why? I don't know. I don't care. Just quit using me as a GD effing training ground. I've basically been given carte blanche to do what I want to protect myself. So there's that. On the lighter side of things, hopefully, everyone, see, I'm looking for more of the other things that I made mention of, and I'm not finding this. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about was old school, ancient, what we would classify as ancient techniques and methods, old school or hardcore methods of making fabric. Start looking into things on how to make different items. There's a reason I'm saying this. May not come for 5 years or so, but that will give plenty of time in order to have those things learned. There are a number of folks who are using plastics in like plastic bottles and recycling them in such a way that they are making reusable like area rugs and things of that nature. That's a great idea. More of the plastics need to come out of the different things. They just need to. We need to stop toxifying this planet. There's too many, just way too much garbage on this planet. I'm still looking for stuff. I didn't bother to write things down, so I apologize because you're kind of getting an all-encompassing ramble, and I don't like that. That's not good. I was really hoping to be able to talk more about the different things that spirits do. And apparently that is not happening tonight, this afternoon, whatever you want to call it. Anyhow, I may put up another, and we're at almost an hour of me babbling. That's not good. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to end this because I'm not finding everything that I wanted to really talk about tonight. And for that, I apologize. But I hope that you have gleaned something out of this, whether you are an experiencer. Yeah, they bug you with music. Yeah, I haven't been getting. I have received some of that, the spirit song messages, but not as much as often. And it's been really nice reprieve, especially with so much going on right now. And there really is a lot going on right now. And there's going to be a lot more going on in the coming months. By the end of the year, by the end of December, there's going to be quite a bit of change. So in a lot of different areas. So start your prep. I'm not talking about prep for, I don't want to say that. I'm just saying start doing your research, start getting into or continuing on with learning new skills or some of the ancient skills, other than just living on a day-to-day basis. Those skills are going to come in handy. They're going to be necessary. So, anyhow, on that note, 56 minutes in, I hope you have a yes. Amy's asking, did you talk about the vampires? I mentioned the vampires. That's on S4 tonight. Just like what Robert had said. So yeah, there are different aspects of vampires. Energy vampires are one of them, and boy, are they hardcore. Somebody had mentioned to me that that gets into a whole different paranormal, though. That doesn't get into vampires. Somebody had mentioned to me they'd come across an area that they had walked into, and there were two mirrors facing each other. Ooh, big frickin' no-no. You don't put mirrors facing each other. Some people don't grasp the concept of why. Look into that one. That is paranormal. But regarding vampires and vampiric things, look into ancient history of different countries. Look into what are known as energy vampires. Look into ETs. There are certain ETs that are human in appearance, but pasty white. So there's going to be a lot of different discussion. All in all, vampires suck. Smart ass, Robert. Anyway, so that's the subject tonight on the S4 bunker on Spreaker.com. I will put actually, I think it's already in there. The link in the description box to the S4 bunker. Couple weeks I will be on Raven's Flock, which is part of the Rift Nation Network. So I will be seeing folks there. Not sure what we're talking about just yet. There's a bunch of interesting little subjects that are popping up. The wall warts and many appliances can be energy vampires. Yeah. There's so many different versions of energy vampires. It's kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, there are quite a few subjects in that. Anyway, so that's what's going to be talked about tonight. I hope you have a good late afternoon, early evening, or if you're listening to this in the wee morning hours, get some good sleep. Take good care of yourself. Make sure you're getting plenty of protein in, and any of your vitamins and scripts and whatever else you need for your body to take care of you. Be sure you're taking good care of yourself. Kind of an important deal, folks. Anyway, on that note, somebody is trying to tell me to say namaste. Anyway, take good care of yourselves, folks. I will talk to you next Wednesday, or I might decide to start leaving little few-minute messages. They won't be live, though. Anyway, take good care. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.